I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna say goodbye now. I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get on my big wheel. I'm gonna get on my big wheel. No, I'm gonna get on my bicycle. No, I'm gonna get on my scooter. No, my scooter. No, I'm gonna get on my bicycle. I'm gonna get on my taco truck. I'm gonna get on my taco truck. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go down the street. I'm gonna fucking smash up against the window. I'm gonna smash up against the window. Yeah, I am. I'm gonna go and smash up against one because I got a pet rock. I got a pet rock too. I got a pet rock. It's really cool. I got a pet rock. It's more like it's like a worry stone. It's a worry stone. You take it. You worry. You worry. You worry. You worry. You worry. You worry. You rub it. You worry. 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 Shut.
Welcome to
Halo, apa kabar semuanya? Dengan gue Dangker Speak yang speakin apa aja kali ini. Gue punya pembahasan. Bandnya keren banget. Namanya Green Day. Lu pasti udah tahu. Soalnya ini band, udah lama banget dan namanya lumayan besar lah. Oke deh, singkat cerita di video ini gue cuma ngeliatin video karir awalnya mereka aja, kan gimana cara mereka membuat sebuah band yang sebelum Green Day nama mereka adalah Sweet Children, anak manis. Oke. Setelah berhenti jadi anak-anak manis, ada apa sih, ya kan? Dan juga kok dia makan nama Green Day? Udahlah, nggak usah banyak basa-basi lagi, langsung aja ngeliat videonya biar mereka yang bicara. Oke, gue Dangker Speak yang speakin apa aja. Pamit undur diri. Oke, saksikan Green Day.
We met each other in 5th grade, and he was just the most wiry, insane kid I've ever seen. I swear to God, it was just the first time my sister ever met Mike. He came to my house and he was just like, just this bottle of nerves, real scrawny, shorter than me, real little guy.
Yeah.
You know, just like this little blonde hair. He looked like he was one of those guys from Bad News Bears or something. Just real wiry all the time. And he comes into my house, and then it's like, oh, mom, this is Mike, this is Mike, and my sister, I was just standing there in the kitchen for some reason, and then Mike comes screaming, running as fast as he can through the kitchen, and my sister was like had a knife, like coming after him like this. I was like, this is the first day we met, you know. You gotta be in the band with this guy. Yeah, my mom is a waitress. My dad was he was a jazz drummer and a trucker.
Yeah.
Worked for Safeway trucks, and we had 6 kids in our family. I'm the youngest, and he passed away when I was 10, and so it was we struggled. I mean, we were broke, but you know, we weren't starving or anything like that. You know, it was a pretty, you know, lower middle class, you know, working class. Yeah, I've always been into music. I mean, I've been into music since I was really young, like 5 and stuff. Like my
What were you listening to then, I wonder?
my mom listened to a lot of country music. You know, she comes from Oklahoma. Hence the name Billy Joe. Yeah. You know. It's not William Joseph. It's just Billy Joe. Really? Yeah. And so I heard I heard lots of Elvis from my sister, and I have an older brother who's 21 years older than I am.
Wow.
So my mom is now she's 63, so I'm 23, and so she's been through like every generation of kids pretty much since like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and up until like beginning of the 90s.
Yeah. She's pretty understanding about the things that you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, she was a real strict parent, you know, for all of my other siblings. But I think by the time she got down to me, she was just like, "Hell with you," you know. I remember I came in one time and I had this really bad haircut that my friend gave me. That was like, it was like shaved all back here, and then like it was shaved in the back right here, and then it was like long in the back.
Nice.
I came in, I go, "Hey, Mom," and she's laying in bed. She goes, "Oh, Billy Joe, no." And she was pissed too, but you know, what could she do about it?
Too late then.
Yeah.
This guitar that you got, where did you see it? Was it just in a music store window, or?
No, this guy George Cole. I don't know if you're familiar with a band called Beatnik Beach.
Yep.
And before that, I used to belong to a guy in Big Bang Beat or something like that. It's like some, I don't know what the hell it is. But he had the guitar, and he was kind of teaching me how to play guitar a little bit. You know, basically, it wasn't like a guitar lesson because I learned how to read music. We just kind of went in like, "Did you learn anything out of the book?" "No." "Well, let's jam." Yeah. So, you know, he taught me how to put my hands on the thing.
Yeah.
And
what were you playing at that time? I mean, were you aspiring to play like punk stuff, or was it? Were you going for the country thing?
No country. That's definitely not. I was into a lot of bad heavy metal and stuff. Well, some good heavy metal.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I really liked like the first Van Halen record.
Yeah.
And,
Ozzy?
I was a big Ozzy fan.
Yeah.
I loved like Randy Rhoads and stuff like that. And I never really was a Black Sabbath fan.
Yeah.
But
did you ever picture yourself as like one of these like fleet-fingered lead players, just playing
I
really,
always,
really fast?
I can imagine myself. I can imagine pretty damn good, but getting there, no way. You know, I just didn't have the patience for it.
Yeah.
You know, that was my thing. It's like I never, you know, I just didn't. You know, and I never wanted to sing for a band ever.
Really?
No, I just wanted to play guitar and stuff and kind of sit in the back. But I don't know. I think Mike kind of at one point just told me I didn't have a choice. He's gonna kick my ass.
Were you writing stuff at this period too?
Well, the first song I wrote is a song called "Why Do You Want Him?" When I was 14. That was when I started.
Yeah.
I was getting into. My sister was like a big, like Replacements fan and Husker Du and stuff. I remember like the first like sort of alternative rock show I've ever seen was REM. My sister took me when I was 13. They played in this high school gymnasium in Santa Cruz.
Wow.
So, and I was like, "Oh, REM, they're not metal, dude," you know. And so, and I went, and it was like, and the 3 o'clock opened up for him.
Oh, wow.
And it was like a religious experience
Yeah.
for me. It was like, you know, they say every 7 years there's certain moments that change your life.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was definitely one of them. You know, I just it wasn't so much the music or the band, but it was just like the whole atmosphere. And I just remember watching, like, Peter Buck was like, he was playing this record, and like the monitors or the PA system was really bad or something. So he was like strumming on his guitar really hard. Everybody already walked off stage, and he was just going, just hammering on it. And then finally just takes this Rickenbacker and just swings it in the air and smashes on the ground. And I was like, yeah!
When Mike was 15 years old, his mom decided to move out of Rodeo.
Michael didn't want to leave.
Mike decided to stay and do his own thing.
He went to stay at Billy's, and that was fine with me because I knew it was a good, safe place for him to be.
Mike moved into the garage, and he became a part of our family. He was like another son to my mom and another brother to us.
By then, him and Billy were well on their way to getting the band together, and music was everything.
Were 15 years old when they started to go to Gilman.
Ladies, Gilman Street was the last vestige of punk.
It was just an all-ages club with a lot of kids just really having a good time.
It was punk rockers, it was sort of misfit.
In the beginning, as Sweet Children, they were not accepted.
The Gilman wouldn't let them play. They said they weren't punk enough.
Around that time, John Kiffmeyer joined the band.
John Kiffmeyer, he was in a band called Isocracy, and they were a pretty big local band, and Billy used to go see him play, and one thing led to another. John ended up being their drummer.
He gave them some more street cred.
He was definitely the element that they needed at that time.
So John called me up and said, hey, I got this new band called Sweet Children, and we want to play. And I said, well, there's some stupid high school party next weekend, and John said, we'll be there. I remember Billy especially stood out. I mean, they put on the show of their life. It was as if, I said right there, it was like the Beatles at Shea Stadium. Like, he had that same attitude, that same command, as if he were playing to 60,000 people. You know, kind of a mixture of affection and disdain. You know, he was already a rock star, even though it was just like these 5 kids sitting on the floor. You know, and at the same time, he was really warm and inclusive. You know, he like talked to them and said, "Thanks for coming, and I really appreciate you being here." It was just, you know, before it was 2 or 3 songs into it, I said, "Well, I'm going to make a record with these guys," and I told him so when Billy asked me afterwards. You know, kind of in his like shy 16-year-old way. Well, what'd you think? Were we all right? And I says, "I want to make a record with you guys," and he says, "Oh, okay."
Thank you. This next song is called
Wait. Let the drummer get a drink too. He's the mascot.
This next song?
This song's dedicated to all the people who live near us and came up here to see us. So you can like say, I was there.
Once again.
started to play Gilman a lot and developed quite a following. And maybe by the end of '89, they'd played quite a lot of shows, and they were starting to get a reputation as a band that a lot of girls liked. And that was, among some of the punks, that was kind of supposed to be a bad thing, because if all the girls came from the suburbs and stood up front and danced and sort of looked dreamy-eyed at the band, then that meant you were a sellout or a poser. And so some of the more hardcore punks were sneering at them, making fun of them. But, you know, the band didn't seem to mind. They went in and recorded 4 songs, and then it came up down to about 3 weeks before the record was due to be released in April of 1989, and still no artwork for the cover. We had a bunch of 7-inch records, but no covers, no lyrics, no title, nothing. And then they came to me and said, well, we decided to change our name, and we want to call ourselves Green Day.
Green Day is a song about smoking weed all day long, and that's where the name came from.
And I went, no, you can't do that. That's crazy. Everybody knows you as Sweet Children. By everybody, I mean the maybe 500 or 1,000 people we were hoping might buy the record. And he says, well, it's too late. We've decided, you know, Sweet Children's dumb, and it's too much like Sweet Baby, which was another Gilman band. And I said, well, we don't. How can we do this? And he said, well, we'll just do it. And I learned then there was a couple of the bands I worked with, you know, there was no point in arguing with. They would decide, and they would announce it to the label, and that was that. And so, although I said Green Day is a stupid name, it doesn't mean anything, and so on and so on. We stuck to it, and at the last minute, my partner in the label at that time, David Hayes, just sort of drew a logo for Green Day and said, well, we'll call it by the name of the first song on the record, 1,000 Hours. And I went off to the copy shop and Xeroxed 1,000 sheets of paper with that on it and folded them up and stuck them into a plastic bag with each record. And that was their first record. It came out in early April of '89, 1,000 Hours. We pressed 1,000 of the first 7-inch, and it kind of built up fairly slowly. I think it probably only sold a few hundred at first, and then over the course of the year probably sold out its first pressing of 1,000, and then picked up quite a bit. That came out in April of 1990, and that's when we first knew that something big was happening. We did a record release party in April of 1990 at Gilman, and it was not just for Green Day, it was for another band, sort of a more metallic rock type band called Neurosis, who were pretty big at the time. And when we got there, we were one of the kids that was working with me and we arrived at the gig with whole boxes of records to sell, and I was driving, and Chris, who was with me, said, "Holy cow, look at this, Larry." And I looked up, and they were queued up all the way down the street. There was 500, 800 people standing outside and waiting to get into Gilman for just like a Lookout Records release show. It was pretty mind-blowing. And we were selling records hand over fist to the point where we had no place to put the money anymore. It was like about 3 a.m. We were driving back, and we were still like keep finding, like, you know, where we'd stuff more wads of money into this pocket and that pocket, and we'd sold out every single record we'd brought to that gig.
Decided to leave the band to pursue his education and attend college away from the Bay Area.
To him, being in a band was more about having fun.
Another turning point.